that night, I didn't know that if somebody beats you, it's a must that you people must sleep in the same bed. So what I did, because the church pastor's house has other rooms, so I decided to take a blanket, went to another room. By that time, he's having a shower. So he gets out of the house, comes into the house, looks for me in the bedroom, and he doesn't see me. So he looks for me in other rooms. He sees me in one of the beds, get hold of me, pulls me. He doesn't even wake me up to tell me, come back to our bedroom. He pulls me on the floor.
What?
To our bedroom. So I go back to the bedroom. So I went there, sleep.
1 month after your wedding?
1 month after my wedding.
Hello Tuko family. My name is Kingori Wangeshi. Welcome to this episode of My Story. And in today's episode, our guest, Vivian, will tell us what she has been going through. And in her words, hell in the hands of a man of God. Guys, gather your pens and your notebooks. Take down the notes, draw lessons. My name is Kingori Wangeshi. Let's welcome Vivian. Vivian, welcome to Tuko. Let's have this conversation. I know it is heavy on your end, and this is a platform that you can share what you're going through, because we say that a problem shared is a problem half solved. Who is Vivian?
Okay, my name is Vivian Apondi Ochieng. Vivian is a mom of 2, a boy and a girl. My girl is turning 5 years this year, and my boy is turning 2 years this year.
Okay.
Vivian is a teacher by profession. I graduated from the mighty Rongo University in 2018. I studied Bachelor of Education Arts, History and Theory. So I'm a History and Theory teacher. Vivian was formerly married to a man of God who almost took me to heaven to meet God himself. So I've been married for 4 years, 8 months. Sadly, I left before we celebrated our 5th year anniversary.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
But I think that's where the crux of the story is, where you say formally married to a man of God. We'll get to what happened, but let's begin from the beginning. Or let's start from the beginning. How did you meet? How was your dating life?
I get that question a lot because each and every couple, mostly when you say, how did you meet? What was your dating life? Sadly, I didn't date pastor.
Okay.
Because just like any other girl, after graduation, I graduated in 2018. So after graduation, I had a lot of dreams. Part of me was telling me to go back to the university to do my master's. Part of me was telling me to look for a job to help sustain my family, because you know I'm the firstborn and my family struggled so much to take me through school. But in between, because I graduated in 14th of December 2018, so hapo tu a pastor friend of the family connected the 2 of us. So he told me that the pastor is currently working, my husband now. He's currently working, so I don't need to look for any other thing. And you know, for almost all women, not in the city setup, I grew up in the village. So almost all the girls in the village, after graduation, you'll be advised, look for a family, look for a man, get married and take care of your family. That is a wish to almost all the girls or all the women. So the fear of growing past 25, 26 without a husband, you'll be mocked. People will look at you in church. People will be questioning why you have graduated. Why is it that you're not getting married? So combined with what was going on in my mind, I said, why not? Let me give it a try. So But again, a friend of mine told me, Vivian, just take it easy. You don't need to get married like immediately.
Yes.
So this guy kept on calling me. I decided to block him to focus. So in January 2019, I got a school somewhere in Siaya County. So when I got a school there, I taught up to April without talking to him. So I just went there, taught, and then in between, somewhere in March, one of our pastor friend again died. So he was part of the WhatsApp group that made that WhatsApp group for some contribution for a befitting burial for the pastor. So we met again in that WhatsApp group. So in that WhatsApp group, he inboxed me and jokingly said that Vivian ulinikata. Then, now that is around March. And then I said to myself, because to be sincere, when I was growing up, being an SDA, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist, being an SDA, I used to admire pastors' families, how they used to carry out themselves, how the wife is introduced in the congregation, the wife stands up, smiles to the congregation, shouts hallelujah, and the rest of the congregants, we say amen. So I used to admire how pastors used to take care of the family, invite the wives to greet us. So I said, if I get a pastor, why not? Why don't I try? So I decided to give it a try. So somewhere in April now, after burying the pastor, we now started talking. The first ever time that I met that pastor, my ex now, I met him when he told me that, Vivian, you are a grown-up. He was straight to the point, and I loved that about him. He was so straight to the point. He told me, Vivian, you are a grown-up. If somebody tells you that he wants to settle down with you, why are you wasting your time? And then I shared this with my mom. Then my mom told me that, why don't we monitor him? But I think now, he had decided to now convince me with everything in him. You know how men, you do your things. So he decided to convince me. We started to walk this journey together in April. So we went and met in an hotel. And then, of course, he bought that lunch for us. And then we started talking about marriage. And then he asked me, how many cows? You know, in Luo, before you marry a lady or before you wed that lady, you have to go to their home. It's a tradition.
Yes.
So he asked straight to the point, how many cows do you want from me? Because he was not a young guy.
Yes.
And then body-wise, he's also blessed. So he went straight to the point and told me, how many cows? I said, because I'm so precious to my parents, I want 6 cows.
Yes.
I don't know whether that was so cheap. Maybe you will tell me. But I said 6. So we started sharing a lot. And then after that, we didn't meet. After that, so we planned everything. All of a sudden, he was home with the cows. After that, he started saying that now he wants that wedding as soon as possible. It means there is a red flag that I ignored. At least I regret. At least before settling down with someone, it's better you learn that person. But there are so many things I ignored about the man of God that I don't blame him, but I blame myself. I blame myself so much. Because there are so many things that this guy decided to hide from me. So he insisted that the wedding must be done in October. That was now August. He is home with the cows.
After 2 months.
Yes. Now we are done with the traditional part. So we are looking forward to the wedding now. So he insisted that the wedding must be done in October. So my mom told me, what kind of a sister are you that will decide to do a wedding without even the sibling? So I shared with him and I told him, you know what? We cannot do that wedding in October. let us decide for a month. So I suggested December. He refused because he wanted it as soon as possible. So finally, we went and settled in November. So my wedding was on 24th of November, 2019. I had the best wedding ever.
Wow, that's something that you really wanted and you got it.
Yeah, because here, especially now in my side, you know, when a lady graduates, and then after graduation you don't even take loan, and you have your wedding.
Your dream wedding.
Your dream wedding. I was so happy. I had the best. I always say the best ahead of the rest. So my wedding was one of the best weddings because it was in 2019, November, our wedding, and then after that, you remember Corona struck.
Yes.
So after that, weddings were now limited, the number of people. Mine, we always say that my wedding was a wedding that was used to close all weddings because after that, Corona was there.
And then they were limited, as you say.
Yeah. So it was one of the best.
You went for honeymoon?
Hapo ndio sasa kuna shida. Because after that, okay, I'm sorry, but we lied to people that we went for honeymoon. Immediately after the wedding, we booked an hotel next to the church where we did our wedding. We stayed there on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then by Wednesday, we were out of the resort. And then we went home. In my church, a pastor or the man of God was taking care of close to 6 churches. So we used to live in a district. Yeah. So we were not, from my mother-in-law's place to that district is quite a distance. So the wedding was next to my mother-in-law's place. So all the gifts were taken to my mother-in-law's place. So immediately after that, we left the resort and then we carried, we went to my mother-in-law's place and then we carried all the gifts. Of course, you cannot carry all the gifts and leave her just like that. We gave part of the gifts to her and then we carried now everything to our place.
To start a life?
To start that life.
As a married couple?
Yes. So we went to, in my church, the pastors, they live in the church compound.
Like
so,
most of the churches.
Yes. So that is where we went to start our life. Now as husband and wife.
And now you're a pastor's wife.
Now I'm a pastor's wife with a lot of expectations.
Will you greet the congregation as you dreamt?
Oh my God. You know, me, Vivian, I know myself because even during my school days, I was everywhere. So everybody knew me, even in the school. So Apondi is now married. I call myself Apondi. Now Apondi is now married to the pastor that he always admired. Now, Sabbaths, the Saturdays, we walk together. You know, the married couples. So we walk together. We walk from one place to another. I'm introduced to churches. You know, we have close to 6 churches. Now, I'm told, and my husband was also so good with words. He would stand before the congregation and say, now, the mother of my children, the wife of my youth is here with us. Can you stand and greet the congregation? Mimi ni nani? I will rise. Rise with all the courage, you know, plus the courage you get as teachers. We'll rise and address the congregation very well.
And they'll be impressed.
Thanking them for even coming for our wedding. So I will, nasema bas, hapa sasa nimefika. So that was now in November. Now 6 days to December, we are now back. Now, the beginning of December, we had a crusade for close to 3 weeks. So in that crusade, we used to just walk together from home to the venue home, just like that.
You were the ideal couple,
yes,
weren't you? Couple goals.
We even match vitenges. If my husband wears a suit with a tie, I make sure that I wear a dress that matches the tie. You understand.
You were there.
I was where I always wanted to be.
Yes.
So I was very happy. Little did I know what was waiting for me. I didn't know. Because remember, this is a man, you are connected with him. You have never met him in your life. And then somebody so close to you convinces you that this is a good person. So with marriage, we always say you get to trust somebody so much with your issues. So during this time, he decided to tell me a lot about him. Because even by the time we were planning for this marriage, I didn't get to go to his home. I only went to his home once, a day before the wedding. So he decided to tell me so many things during this month. So he gets to tell me how he has come from a very bad family. The father used to beat the mother, and so on. Kumbe, these stories I'm told to prepare me for the kind of life that I want to live.
What?
So I'm told how, you know, Vivian, me, I have suffered in my life. I even dropped out of school for 4 years. Went back. Actually, he's not my age mate, but we did our Form 4 in the same year. I realized that later. We also graduated almost the same year. Just that you should know that this is a man who is 7 years older than me. But we graduated the same year. We did our KCSE the same year. So him telling me about himself, how he has suffered. Sometimes the mother left home, they were just left in the village. They used to just walk from one place to another asking for food. So you as a wife, what do? Oh my God, you have gone through a lot. Little did I know that this is the kind of life that I want to live as a person. So that is December. So come January. One of the red flags that I told you that I ignored, as we were planning for this wedding, I was already in a school. Now, I bring this topic in our discussion. We are now a couple planning a wedding.
Yes.
So I bring it in our discussion, and then I tell him, now, babe, now that we are getting married and I'm already in a school, you have not gotten a school for me. I hope after the wedding, you will allow me to work in that school as you help me get a school so that I shift. Do you know what my husband, to be, by then told me? He told me, if you go back to that school to teach, then I'm not a man. So I wondered. I even shared with my mother. Then my mother, we just laughed it off. We said,
he's going to provide. Isn't that what he meant?
Again, I also said that, you know, Luos, I hear our Luo men are running away from us marrying the Kambas because we are tough-headed. So they said, I always said that I'm that person, a go-getter. So when he said that if I go back to that school, then I'm not a man, then I just said to myself, this man doesn't know me. Then my mom said, with that notion, you will not survive that marriage. I told my mother, I will go back to that school and I will teach until he gets me a school. So we just brushed it off. And then now, December. Come January, now I'm bringing it up again.
I need to go back to school.
To school. Because I cannot stay in the house. Now he tells me that you will not go back to that school. And then I'm now like, what is going on? Why don't I go back to that school? Vivian, you are now married and you are under my instructions. You will not go back to that school. So now, from there now you get to learn that now your tough-headedness, you're not going anywhere. So when I shared with my mom tells me, you're married. Now listen to him. Maybe he has a way of providing for both of you.
Yes.
But remember, before that wedding, I was working there. So the principal hadn't paid us for October, November, and December. In public schools, we are paid for even the 2 months that you don't work. Because students are on holiday, teachers are on holiday. So now the principal calls me and tells me, Vivian, did you get married and forget about work? Or are you coming back? And I told him, Mwalimu, I'm coming back. And then he tells me, then if you're coming back, tell us, because we now need to slot your subjects. And then now I go back to pastor again, because maybe I imagine that telling him more than one time, many times, will change his mind. I want to tell him, if I can't go back to that school, the principal is calling me to pay me. Can I go and get my money? So he refused. The next day in the morning, I waited for him as he was going for church meetings. I left, went to that school. I texted him when I was already inside the vehicle. Now I told him, I have left to that school. I'm going to get my money if you don't allow me to go back. He didn't even respond. So I went to school, got the principal in a meeting. The principal saw me through the window and texted me and told me, just wait outside. So I waited. And then, now, it was around 2 p.m. I even ate, went to the Form 4 class, prepared them, even told them that now, from this time, we are going to discuss 1, 2, 3. I'm going to tell you what is in paper 1, what is in paper 2, how you can now story with your students as I was waiting for the principal.
Yes.
So I even ate lunch in the staff room. So after that, the principal now calls me. I was being paid 17,000 per month. So the principal calls me, hands over a brown envelope with 51,000 inside it.
Yes.
I was so happy. And then now the principal tells me, are you coming back? It was on a Friday, because all this while the schools were opened on Wednesday for the day scholars, and for the boarders they came on Thursday. So I went to school on Friday.
Yes.
So it was on a Friday. So when I went there, now the principal gives me that money. Now he asks me, are you coming back on Monday? I told him I'm coming back, because remember, even the house I rented there, I had not taken. I had not paid. I had not taken my things out of that house.
Okay.
So it was now around 4 p.m. So when he gave me that money, I went and paid for that rent for the months I was owing him. Remember, I was busy with the wedding preparations and everything. My landlord understood me. So I went and paid that house. The remaining money was remaining in my envelope. It was around 38,000. I had not informed him when I was leaving. I don't know whether something was now pricking my body. I was like, what is going on? Is this guy going to do something to me? Because you must always feel something. So I went there, boarded a vehicle immediately, but I reached very late, at around 7 to 8. So when I reached there, I went to greet him, he didn't greet me back. He started, I told you not to leave the house, where did you go to? I told him I went to get my money, it is even here. That guy, it is a month after our wedding. I just say a month because that is 1 month, the whole of December, and 6 days of November, because we did our wedding on 24th.
Yes.
A month after our wedding, I'm already beaten.
What?
I was beaten. In the course of that...
Isn't that the honeymoon period, you know?
I know, but I was beaten. In the course of that, I called my father. And then he's on the other side of the phone call, and then he snatched my phone away, hangs up. My father is worried. He calls back, and he answers the call and tells my dad, everything is okay. We are not in any problem. So, hiyo issue inaisha. It ends like that. So, that night, I didn't know that if somebody beats you, it's a must that you people must sleep in the same bed. So what I did, because the church pastor's house has other rooms. So I decided to take a blanket, went to another room. By that time, he's having a shower. So he gets out of the house, comes into the house, looks for me in the bedroom, and he doesn't see me. So he looks for me in other rooms. He sees me in one of the beds. Get hold of me, pulls me. He doesn't even wake me up to tell me, come back to our bedroom. He pulls me on the floor.
What?
to our bedroom. So I go back to the bedroom. So I went there, sleep.
1 month after your wedding?
1 month after my wedding. So I am in our bedroom. After beating, I didn't know that intimacy matters after beating.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you know, somebody who has dealt with your body now is touching your body in a way that he wants intimacy. It didn't work for me. So we had a struggle that night. So the next day in the morning was Saturday, our Sabbath day as usual. So he wakes up in the morning, prepares for church. You know, me, I have some bruises on me. I'm still new, and there are some churches that I've not even been introduced to. So he comes to me, wakes me up, tells me it's time to go to church. So I have to go to church with the bruises. So I wake up, prepare, and then we go to church.
You with your bruises?
Yes, I go to church with my bruises. So I'm introduced as usual. My queen, the wife of my youth, is here.
The one who was being dragged on the floor last night.
So I'm told, stand up and greet the congregation. My friend, I woke up, I stood up, waved. Not not what I admired before. Remember what I always admired, standing up with that courage, greeting people, smiling to people. Now this time I don't have the courage anymore, because people will ask, what is going on? What is on your face? So I stand up, wave, sit down, and then he makes a comment. He says, she is sick, she had some headache. Maybe that is what is dealing with her, therefore she is not comfortable. When I hear that, when I heard that, I left the church, went under a certain tree, and then I just decided to sleep there. And that was the day that he preached like he didn't do anything. He even made a call, and almost half of the church stood up. You know how they make the calls?
The altar calls.
If you feel that you have gone far from the Lord, stand up for a word of prayer. If you feel you want to move closer to Christ, make a step. People are making steps. I'm wondering, you know, you are not used to this life. In as much as you're from SD and everything, you're not used to this life. So it happened. So we were just there. I even blamed myself. You know, when something happens, you blame yourself. You say, I wish I told him. Or I wish I carried him with me to that school so that he sees that I didn't do anything. So he calls my mother, tells my mother that Vivian didn't go to that school. Vivian went and met a man, and that is where he came with that money. What? So I'm like, my mother is telling me, marriage is welcoming you. And then we laugh about it again. And I'm like, hey, this mine is welcoming me with a lot of whips. I said, hey, marriage is different. So marriage is welcoming you. So that is my mom telling me. And then we just laughed it up. And then I told my mom, this one has welcomed me in a very big way. So that is January. And then he helped me look for a school, by the way, next to the church. That school now I'm paid 5,000 because it's a school that is just beginning Form 1 and Form 2, no Form 3, no Form 4. So I'm teaching there. In that school, the man of God has put spies now. Even if I make a call, it's reported. There's a certain teacher that we were with in the same university. He came to look for a chance there. So I was telling him, this is a small school. Hapa, you don't expect anything. So what you do, look for a better school. So as we are storing, I didn't know that the same thing reached him. So these things now come out as insults. I'm told, the other time you were in school, you were misbehaving with a man. So I'm like, so I should not even talk to people, because now he even tells me, if now the congregants, being a pastor's wife comes with a lot of expectations. If you're seen even with a friend, you're talking, what will people say? You are now a married woman to a pastor. a man who people fears and everything. So I'm like, oh, so even this one reached you. So luckily, end of January, luckily in February, God answered my prayer and I conceived our firstborn. So after conceiving our firstborn, by then I'm a speaker too. So he took me to one of the week of prayers. So I was the one who was the speaker in that week. So on Thursday, I was not feeling so well. On Friday, and then I decided to go to the clinic to take a pregnancy test. Then finally I found I was pregnant. I shared with him. He was very happy. We were happy. And then after that, on Saturday, I came back to church. Then with the morning sickness and everything, on Monday we had to report to school. Now he has started showing me his other side.
Which other side?
I wake up late. I have to go to school. I'm told I have to wash the utensils. I know it's normal for a woman, you have to wake up. But you know, with the pregnancy now, you are in another phase. Yes. You're not used to these things. And this guy pretended to love me to an extent that he will wake up in the morning, even prepare water for me for shower and everything. But this time, now I have to do it. You know, that kind of life that somebody introduces you to a point that you now feel, I'm in heaven. And then all of a sudden, he withdraws. You're slapped, reality is slapping you back. Come back, wake up. So, I'm back. So, now, going to school, I come back in the evening, and then all of a sudden, Corona. Now, we have to live with him and everything. The whole of March, with mood swings and everything, I'm suffering. By the way, my first pregnancy, I suffered a lot. Now, somewhere when I was 5 months pregnant, that was in July. So I'm in the house. He brought a certain nephew of his. We're in the house. So I'm in the house, and then now, you know, with pregnancy, I was sleeping on the chair. And then something just wakes me up and then tells me to take a stroll. So I decided we live just in the church compound next to the church. So I just decided to just walk inside the church. I didn't know where he was. He was behind the altar, the church. He was on a call. So I was just walking inside the church compound, just strolling and everything. And then I hear him on a call. Then I hear him say, I will just come for 2 weeks, and then the other person on the other side of the call, who was a lady, telling him, what if your wife finds out? You know, you're married, you got married the other day. And then he says that I will just tell him that I have gone for the ministry work, a crusade probably. And then the lady says, but I suspect that Apondi, people call me Apondi, by the way. I even call myself Dr. Apondi, so people call me Apondi so much. So what if Apondi finds out? Because our marriage, by the way, let me tell you, even on my Facebook page, it was all over. We matching kitenges, matching ties, matching everything. It was all over. We were publishing. People were like, "Ow, you look good." Ow. So everybody knew Apondi with the husband. Being that I was very loud, even the university, I had followers. So people knew. So the lady tells him, what if Apondi finds out? He says, and I quote, a man is like a lake. One woman can never be enough. And if she even knows that. Luo puts it, because it was a phone call in Luo. So Luo puts it in a very funny way. So when I heard that, remember I'm pregnant, Apondi. You know what I did?
How did you hear the conversation from the other end?
Now he's sitting at the window of the church. Outside, he's sitting outside under a tree. Remember, I'm also walking inside the church. I'm tired. I don't want to walk under the sun. So I'm just strolling, but I'm just walking, stretching inside the church. I don't know what took me there. But I was just walking. No, the church has chairs this side, chair this side. So I was walking in between. So as I'm walking, I hear him on a call. So I decide to go. Maybe, I carried a chair to go sit with him under the tree. So before I get out of the church, I hear him on a call. When I heard that, I just felt my stomach dancing rumba rumba. So I just decided to go to him, snatch the phone out away from him. So he became so protective, and then he didn't let the phone go. As I was asking him, who are you talking to? And then I'm so funny. So I got hold of him. I told him, so this is what you do. Pastor pushed me. He pushed me against the tree. So I ended up falling on one side.
And you're pregnant.
Know that I'm pregnant. So after that, he gave me some slaps, some
kicks, some blows.
Then after that, I fall down. Then now he was so mad. I saw another face, some eyes that was so different from what the one for the night was not enough. That was now during the day. Now I saw the real him, the eyes that I've never seen. So I just remained there because we're in a church compound, fenced. Nobody can hear you from outside. Maybe if somebody's passing by. So I just remained there, and then I went to the house, pole. And then I went, took some few of my things because I had some pain. And then there's a nurse friend around that place. So I just ran to that nurse. 2 weeks later, my amniotic fluid was out. So upon referrals, I ended up in Kisumu, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Teaching and Referral Hospital. I gave birth to a premature baby who was less than a kg. We stayed in the nursery for 3 months. Luckily, she survived. That is my firstborn, a very beautiful girl. So after that, I came back. I can tell you, I can swear with my life, how I covered that man. I covered him. Everybody will ask, I'd say, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Why, what happened? Because how can your fluid just come out at 6 months? I would say, maybe I was drinking a lot of water. Anybody would ask me, because during that time, you are trying to prove to everybody that you are the best couple. Everything is okay. Remember, you're married to a pastor. And you know, when you're getting married, when you're having a wedding, you know how people talk.
Yes.
So you are preventing them from now satisfying whatever they were trying to say. So I protected him. Not even my uncles knew. Not even my mother knew what he did. So everything just went okay. And then in SDA, you are transferred from one district to another. So after we left the hospital, we were transferred from now this district to another place. So when we went there, we worked there from January to June. By that time, you know, my baby is very tiny.
Yes.
Very tiny, less than a kg. We gained kgs maybe later. So I cannot go to work because who will you live with the small baby? And during that time, you know, Corona, the school calendar and everything. So I didn't bother to even look for a job. So we worked there from January to June. So he had some problem in his place of work. So he was suspended.
Okay.
So he was suspended in June for 3 months. He had some problem, of which the problem, he's the one who caused it, but I covered it. I took the blame. I even lied to his superior, his boss. I lied to him that day that thing was happening, I am the one who took that report. Maybe I mistook something. To be sincere, during that time, I was not even in a position to even receive reports. Pastors, they always receive reports at the end of the month. So that day I didn't even receive. But I had to cover for him that I'm the one who did it.
This is your man and you love him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're trying to prove to everybody that this thing has to work.
This marriage is working.
Remember, it is something I've always admired. I wanted to be a pastor's wife. But by that time, they had suspended him. So we were told, if you're suspended now, you leave the church compound. So we left. I had to beg because I was living with my cousin. I was living in a certain small girl that I used to live to take care of, and my baby. So, and I have a house girl too. So the young girl was in grade 3, and you know, at grade 3, that is where we do the neck for the CBC. And this my cousin was in Form 4. So we didn't want to go home. So I looked around in that village, went to a certain woman whose son is abroad. So we asked that woman to host us. So we were living in that home, inside the homestead. So I carried my family to that place. Then I told him, now, because you are suspended, so many people will laugh at us. Look for another place to go and stay. Look for another place, to look for even a job that will help us. Then he looked for something to do. So he was now far away from us. Then now I brought a conversation about work again. Now I tell him, now that you're not working, you are suspended, you will not be receiving your salary. What if I now look for a school? He was so happy about it and told me to look for a school. So I looked for a school.
And you got one.
And I got one.
Yes.
Though the salary was now 12,000, which was good compared to the 5,000.
True.
So I looked for a school. So I taught in July, August, September. Now he's coming back because he was suspended for 3 months.
Yes.
He's coming back. Remember, when he's around, he's not around, he doesn't have money. We are not expecting anything at the end of the month. I'm working, he's happy. So he is from suspension. The schools are closed. So we are opening, I'm telling him. Now that you are now from suspension, am I supposed to go back to that school? He's telling me you can't leave that school. You know, he's not proving, you know, he's not showing me that he doesn't want me to work. No, you can't leave. In fact, we are going to look for, I'm going to talk to my boss to take us to a district that is close to that school. Now, I'm happy. But we were not taken to a district that is close to that school. We were taken to a bit further district. But he tells me, you will just carry a mattress to that school because that school provided accommodation. You just carry a mattress, then you visit us on Wednesday and Friday. And then I'm happy about it.
Yes.
The schools are open. So I go back to school. Struggles there.
What struggle?
Hey. I'm in school. And then now, the house manager, because I can't say house girl because she was a bit older than me. So she calls me on call because he's behaving in a way, he doesn't want to tell me that he doesn't want me to work. But he doesn't want me to work. So he wants to do everything possible to make me not even settle at my place of work. So the lady calls me and tells me, Madam, I am even trembling right now. I came in the morning and found so and so in bed with a baby and a panga.
What?
Now I'm trembling. I ask the lady, what did he do when he saw you? He was crying. A grown-up man that I talked to in the morning and said everything is okay. This guy is doing everything, Tuko, to ensure, to even instill fear in me that the moment I'm going to leave even my child under his care, he can do anything to stop me from that work. So I'm trembling. I call a certain teacher that I was so close to. I told that teacher, Mwalimu, everything is not okay at home. Just allow me. Let me just run. And then he tells me, you cannot leave without telling the principal. So I go to the principal, lie. I tell the principal that my sister has been sent out from school. I have to go and pay school fees so that she goes back. I mean, now, that one you can do very fast. Just run and come back. Because I didn't have a lesson by that time. So I go home. When I reach home, It's true, I found the panga on top of the bed, but it's nowhere to be seen. Here, I asked the lady, and she tells me that she has gone for a church meeting. But what I asked by the way, when the lady called me, the only thing I asked the lady was, where is my daughter? She tells me I am with her. So at least
you calm down.
Yes. And then from there, where is he now? He is preparing. I heard him made a call. He is leaving to a certain church. And then now I start calling him. Now I start begging. I even tell him on text, because he's not answering calls. If it is that work that you don't want me to work, I will leave it. So, you now start blaming yourself over things. So this is what is bringing problems to me. So I need to stay away from it. By that time I have not known who the kind of person I'm dealing with. So I call him many times, he refuses. But remember, I told the principal I'm just going to pay the school fees and I'm going to come back. So I decided to go back to school. So I went, attended my classes, then I came back home. We didn't even talk about it. Because
you did not?
We did not talk about it.
Because you don't want him to get angry or what?
Again, when I'm home, he wants us to assume things.
Sweep things under the carpet.
Even if we fight in our house, now when all of us are now sober, we now want to talk about it. We cannot talk about it.
Why?
He will ensure that we assume it, like we cover it. He tells me, you're a very beautiful woman, you're a good woman. I just think it's the devil. So with the words, I also feel, there is nothing going on here. So I decided to just relax. So after that, because I was stubborn, I didn't stop that work. I continued. So we are in half term. I wake up in the morning. He leaves me while washing his clothes. He goes to that school where I'm working. He meets the watchman and then tells the watchman, there is a certain madam teacher in this school. She is called Vivian. Do you know her? Yes. Watchman akachoma. Vivian is a very happy soul. Yara akipita hapa huwa anatupatia hata ndizi, anasema kama kuna kitu tutakufa pamoja. Okay, I used to joke with them. Everybody, I ensure that everybody is happy around me. So even at the gate, when I buy maybe banana, I will just give it to the soldier and tell soldier, hii pia kama huyo mama anataka kutuua, let us die all of us. And then I leave him laughing as I go to class. So the watchman goes to an extent of even saying, no, now pastor says, my ex now asks him, the watchman, is she saying that she's married? Now the soldier feels that now this guy is so much into Vivian. Now he says, that part I don't know about Vivian. What I know, she's still new here. Remember, I'm new. She's still new here. We have not talked about it. But I don't know what was in that soldier. He goes to an extent of again adding and say, I wish I knew her marital status. Because that girl, I can easily give her out to my brother. So now their pastor picks a point. Say, oh, so she is saying that she is not married. And then she now goes ahead and asks, where does she sit in school? In that school we used to sit in departments. So there's a certain teacher that comes from my mother's place. So we were close. So he says, madam, in this school people sit in departments, and then she sits with who in particular?
In this case, a man?
Yes, that teacher is a man.
Oh my goodness.
But I used to call him uncle. So, because he comes almost next to my mom's place. So, now pastor picks that there is a man I'm seeing in this school. All of a sudden, I don't even know how he did it. Pastor ensured that he had all the numbers of the teachers in that school. My wedding photos were in each and every teacher's phone. I am in class, I'm teaching. When I come back, people are quiet. And in fact, they are pretending as if there is nothing that is going on. I was the topic of discussion. Now, I'm not bothered because I don't know what is going on. So when I leave, they go back to their discussion. So I go to class. When I come back, so that day, I just decided to say, when you enter our staff room, there was the secretary's office there. So I decided to branch into the secretary's office. I overheard the discussion. Kumbe kanajifanya hapa na she's married. Now see, so my wedding photos. So I approached one of the teachers and asked, what is going on? Your husband has known that you're with Mr. David, and he has said that he's going to kill that teacher. Remember, this guy came to school, left me in the house when I was washing. His clothes. He did his investigation and reached a conclusion that I'm having an affair with that. Now pressure on my mother. He called my mother, told her everything. And now, all of a sudden, he made an arrangement with a fellow teacher. Told the fellow teacher to call the principal. Tell the principal that Madam Vivian is having an affair with Mr. So-and-so. And they are misbehaving in front of the students. If you don't do anything, we as the villagers, we are coming to burn the school. We must show you that as villagers, we have something to do with this school. So, you know, this is a teacher in this school writing this to the principal. So when the principal saw this, he called me and asked me, Vivian, you're having an affair with Mr. So-and-so. I told him, Mwalimu, I don't know what you're talking about. And by then in that school, we were sharing the subject with that teacher, and we were very hardworking. We used to bring papers, mocks, give to our candidate class, market release. So it brought a lot of jealousy anyway in the school, because the principal used to commend us almost all the time. Now it is out that we are dating, we are having an affair. So the principal tells me, now see this, we cannot have you. But we are still doing our investigations. If found that you're having an affair, then we'll have to send you away. So his stress started there. I'm asking them, where is this coming from?
Because you have no idea.
I don't know what is going on. This guy, after doing all these things, he comes back to me and tells me, be very careful with your school. Because teachers are saying, remember, he's not bringing himself in the picture. Teachers are saying that you're doing 1, 2, 3 with Mr. So-and-so. So by that time, I don't know him still. Because, so I don't know what is going on. Stress imeanza. So that teacher calls me, the teacher that they are saying we are having an affair with, calls me and tells me, Mwalimu, I don't know what is going on. Is it because that we always work? So we are worried, all of us.
You're thinking it is work matters, it's jealousy from your colleagues.
We still don't know. Is it because I always call you uncle? Kijalu will call it simple Nera. Is it because you always call me Nera whenever you come to school? We still don't understand what is going on. So the closing day, before that, remember, there is a day very early in the morning, he came to school. My ex came to school very early. And by around 4 in the morning, I had not woken up. So I had somebody knocking. So when I went to open, it was him. I even thought that maybe we had an emergency in school. Because, you know, I was now the boarding mistress.
Yes.
So I even thought that maybe a student came running to me that there is something that we need to sort. So when I woke up, and then I went to open the door. So when I opened the door, I saw him. So in his mind, later, he told me that he thought,
you were,
yeah, maybe Mr. So-and-so was in my room that day. And it is true, he carried a hammer and a screwdriver. He told me on my face that day, if at all he found that teacher in my room, he was going to kill him. During that time, remember, he has sent a lot of threatening messages to the teacher now. Now the principal tells me, Vivian, we cannot have you in this school because now you can end up killing.
You're a rouser. You're a troublemaker.
Yes, I can now end up, now they can, he can now kill. But now the principal asked me, you said your husband is a pastor. Is this the way pastors behave? I'm not from your church. But do they kill to prove a point? And then I said, I don't know what. By that time, stress. I have a lot of stress. I don't know what is going on. My life has now turned upside down. The teacher that I always wanted to be, me, I always wanted to be a teacher from when I was a very young girl. So the teacher that has always been shining, helping the students, having a lot of consultation. Now, everybody's now talking about me in the school. Your hard work now has turned into kujifanya. Unajifanya uonwe. Now, the dressing, you dress so well in school, you are dressing so that other teachers can now see you. Kumbe, this is what you have been doing. Now my life has now changed. It reached a point that now the principal had to, when we are now closing, the principal had to send me a text that your contract has been terminated. Your family members feel the same way. So I called one of my uncles, brother to my mom, and told my uncle, Uncle, I'm going through stress. This man, I have realized he doesn't want me to work. Now I started narrating the stories from.
But he's not telling you directly.
This man doesn't want me to work, and anytime I go to work, he must bring something. So, and then my uncle made a mistake and called him to ask him. So he tells my uncle, when he was away, when he was suspended, when I remained with the children, I used to bring a man in that house. Where my cousin is, the young girl, my baby, my house girl. Remember, it is a single room. So I'm even wondering where that man would sleep. Because we are suspended from church. We cannot access the church compound. Now we live in somebody's compound. The audacity. Do I even have to bring a man in that compound? So he even went ahead and said that when he came back, he found a man's undies in that room. So I was asking, by then that one, I laughed it off, though it was painful. I asked my uncle, even during that time when you were dating, when you went to visit your girlfriend, do you leave your undies? And then my uncle tells me, how do I even walk in a trouser without? So, by then that one sounded so funny.
Yes.
But to some extent, he had decided to now
painting another picture of you to your family.
Everybody has now people have started believing him. Now people have started saying that I am having an affair with the teacher. That is why the principal, now he's telling people that the principal had decided to sack me because the investigations were done and it was found that it's true. So that is what is going on now. I even developed a condition, by the way. I started having headaches. That is the time, for the first time in my life, I decided to end my life. Because during that time, everybody is believing him. Everybody. I wrote a very big letter to my mother, telling my mother how I'm going through a lot. And she seems to be convinced. I wrote a letter to my daughter. Remember, by that time she's very young. Said the world will judge you. I know the world will judge you that your mother has decided to commit suicide and everything. So the only mistake I did was to put it on my status. I said on my WhatsApp status, my daughter, I know the world will judge you, but they will adjust. But I have to do this. So people were concerned. They started texting me, calling me. So remember, by that time we're still playing the best couple. So even if I tell somebody that I'm going through something, they
will not believe.
Yes, so they will not believe me. So a lot of things happened, and then it reached a point I said, Vivian, if it is that job that is giving you stress, leave it. I left. So that is 2022. I left. I stopped working. So I stayed in the house the whole of 2022. Come August, now, I didn't know that I was living with somebody who was emotionally abusing me. So my baby is now 1 year, by that time she is 1 year, 7 months. And then a man tells me, you know, there is a certain friend of yours that was telling me that you will never give birth again. There are things you did. So that is why the child is into, how many people go through marital issues and they still carry children to full term. Why is it that yours is different? You know, he's telling you in a way that you people are having a story, you're making stories. So why is yours so difficult? Why is it that you almost lost your child? So I'm like, oh, so there are people who are telling you that I cannot gave birth. You know, by that time, I'm not working, so the environment is now okay. You know, I'm not, you are not working.
If you're not working.
If I'm not working, we can story up to midnight. We don't have any problem. So that is where he is now bringing the problems, the issues now. He's telling you that your friends are saying that you can never give birth. You know, he's finding a way of telling you that I want another child without you knowing. They are saying, kwani watu wangapi who have marital issues and they still give birth, do they carry children to full term? So why is yours different? So I say, oh, and then I say, then now I have to give birth to prove. Imagine I had to conceive. I conceived my second one, the boy now.
Yes.
So I conceived my second boy in August. So before that, I was beaten. I've not told you that bit. Before that, in August, during campaigns, I lost my friend. So when she's Brenda, may her soul rest in peace. So Brenda died. So the few friends of ours, we gathered together and we said that we have to go to the morgue to receive her body from Kisumu. So we went, received the body. I texted him because this is a person you cannot tell that I'm leaving. He will not allow you. So that is the trend. Now I text him. There's a friend of mine, we have lost a friend of mine. So we have to go to the morgue, receive her body, and then I'll come back. So I went, as friends we met, and then after that, I came back. So though I came back very late, you know, you are living in a place that you are not supposed to have friends, you're not supposed to talk to anybody, you are supposed to be alone. So that time I met my friends. So we had to story a bit and have time. When I came back, it was late. So it was around 6:30 to 7. So when I got into the house, because I had left program for my house girl. Now by that time I have a house girl and the little girl. So I tell them, you have to prepare this for supper and everything. So when I came back, I knew that everything was ready. So I just get into the house. When I got into the house, I found him standing beside the door. And he asked me, where are you coming from? I told him, I texted you. Is that the way to communicate with me? No, he has changed. No, I didn't want to bother you because you know how to look for words to ensure that you succeed. So I told, so that was the first time he slapped me, and then I ran out. And then I don't know what happens to me. Anytime he was in a position that he wanted to beat me, I would grab my phone to call somebody. So I called my uncle again. And then in the process, as we were talking, he comes to me. I was beaten again, And then in between the call, my uncle is still on the other side of the call.
He's listening through.
And then he tells me, you are still talking to your men. Now, my uncle tells him, but I am the one who is talking to Apondi. I'm not a man. I am so and so. And then he takes that phone, then he throws it to the floor. And then, luckily, it fell on a very soft place, so my phone didn't crack. And then he tells me, Ati, I can even break this phone if this is what is now making you to grow wings. So I was beaten that day. Everything happened. Now, again I say, if it is moving out of the house that is bringing me problems, you know, you are detaching yourself from people now. Say, if it is that job, let me leave it. If it is leaving this place to meet my friends that is bringing me problems, because my body is so precious, let me leave it. So I leave it.
And when all this is happening, when you go to your services, you still greet the congregation as a pastor's wife?
Very well. You know the pretense in, you know the pretense, you don't know, you don't understand. Very well. Very well. And there are some times that I even sing before he preaches.
My goodness.
I just grab a hymn and I sing before. Now, immediately after that, the congregation says, wow, amen. Now, by that time, you don't know something so funny about me. I stand to after singing, I now invite him. He calls himself governor. So I tell the congregation, how many together with me help me to welcome the governor, His Excellency, my husband, to speak to us. Now the congregation goes, wow, hey, so people are so happy, and then he takes the mic and starts preaching. So during that time, now when all these things are happening, I am the one who is having this stress. Now I'm asking myself a lot of questions. Now my marriage has now reached a point that I have decided, and now I'm going into depression. I'm now stressed. I've stopped work. I'm not supposed to even call. It reaches a point that if I'm on a call even with my sister, he follows me. If I go out, he follows me. There's a funny day. He was already, he had already changed his clothes. He is in the bathroom. Now my sister tells me, by that time she's in the university, now she tells me, my tokens, zimeisha. Do you even have 100 bob? You help me so that I pay the token. And then and then I tell her, I only have it. Let me run to the M-Pesa, deposit it for you, and then I send it to you. Remember, he had changed. He wants to have a shower. When he heard that I'm running to M-Pesa, he runs after me. So he went and puts on his clothes. Okay. And then he runs after me to follow me if it's true that I'm going to the M-Pesa to deposit that money. So it went like that. I used to have a lot of problem. Now I have conceived my second born to prove to him
that you can conceive,
that I can conceive and carry to term. So I have conceived my. During that time, we don't have any problem because now I'm pregnant. Who will see me? I am in the house. My stomach is now big. I will not be walking from one place to another. When greeting the congregation, I will greet the congregation with my stomach out. So definitely nobody is going to admire me or anything. So I'm just there. So we are now transferred from this district. By the way, I don't know what was so funny about him, but we could not finish a whole year in a district. We are now transferred from this district to another. So in that other district, I got there, I'm pregnant. The all-round Apondi in me joins the choir, joins everything. Now he's in the church, happy, doing 1, 2, 3. After all, I am a teacher who has been denied to work. Now the only thing to do is to please and to enjoy my ministry now. What do I have to do? So I'm in that other district. And in that other district, now I've joined the choir. We go for ultrasound. My baby's in breech presentation. So I'm told I have to book for CS. During this time, we don't have any problem. We don't have any problem. Actually, even if I ask for anything, he will say I will provide. By that time, anyway, he introduced me to a life that I knew his PIN, his ATM PIN. I knew everything. But all these things, he decided to withdraw them. So I remained there. Financially abused, emotionally abused, spiritually abused, because now I'm not now connecting to God the way I thought. You know, my life has now changed. It has taken another turn. So I booked for CS. It was done. My baby came out. During this time, he tells me that we can look for somebody to help me, because that is very true. And during that time, when we were transferred from that district, the house girl I had remained there. So when we came here, I was just with the little girl, my baby, and now we had to bring this girl. So when we brought this girl to our house, going through. So when I went through CS, that lady, very disciplined, a Form 4 leaver, came to stay with us. He is the one who brought that girl. So we stayed together with the girl. Now this girl took me to the hospital, stayed with me for that period after CS, brought me to the house. 3 days later, that girl changed. Now I'm doing things alone.
And she's in the house?
She's in the house. I would even complain to him. You know, as your husband, you know, tell him, you brought so-and-so to help us. Why is it that she's doing this? He would do it in front of me to show me that he cares. Now he'll go to the girl and tell the girl, I don't know what they will discuss. This girl reached a point that now we looked like age mates. She would throw words at me. Even if it is time for lunch, and I tell her, cook lunch, because the little girl was coming back. I had lived with her, now she was now in grade 6. She is coming back from school. Please, prepare lunch. She will not do it. I am the one with my wound that will stand from the bed. Go and prepare lunch. So it reached a point that now we were like age mates. So, kumbe I didn't know that with the trend, the same girl was brought to spy on me. I greet the church members he talked to, Vivian Apondi talked to so-and-so during the day. Apondi left the house to the shop and stayed for this long. So this was the reporter now. So as the devoted pastor's wife, we were now in the camp meeting seasons. So I tell pastor, before that, with my wound, one day on a Sunday, I was looking for a certain job behind his back. I was tired of living there. That is the truth.
Even with your wound?
Now, because now this was a government job. The government job, I know, maybe I would go, apply for it if there were, you know, with our country connection. So I would go, if I'm connected, we'll take a leave. Because I will say, I went for CS, now I have to take that leave, then I report later. So we made some calls, and then I went to meet that guy who was to connect me with that job in company of my mother. And then after that, I came back. He asked me where I came from. I told him, there's a friend of mine who was sick in the hospital. He asked me the name of the hospital. I said the name. Then he went to the next. He told me, oh, okay, there is no problem. The next day, he went to that hospital, checked on the CCTV, and didn't see me.
What? He had to go through the trouble of going through the CCTV.
He checked. He didn't see me in the CCTV. And then, remember, I told him a friend of mine was sick in a certain hospital. Then that friend of mine was transferred from that hospital to another.
Don't tell me that he went to the other hospital.
He went to the other hospital. And even asked, and the people in that same hospital, the doctors told him that we don't receive our patient from that hospital. So now that is where the whole now problem now magnified from. Now, he sent me a text and told me, I went to the hospital, you lied to me and everything. I told him, please. That was the first time I had that strength and told him, please, I'm not going to walk this journey with you again. Number one, the baby is just 1 month old, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. The baby is just 6 weeks old. If I walk this journey with you again, I won't even have the strength to breastfeed my son. I will end up dying in your hands again. So whatever you do, just do it if that is what makes you happy. After all, I'm still your wife and I love you. Have a blessed day. He didn't answer. He waited for the result of that hospital. He came with it the next day to just remind me that I'm a prostitute and I'm sleeping around with men and everything. Remember, which man will sleep with me with my wounds? Which man will sleep with me immediately after giving birth?
The breastfeeding.
I'm breastfeeding. Women go through a certain circle because during that time is when you are even still receiving your blood. So how will you, which man? And then one day a certain friend of mine called Boki. So Boki says, puts on her status. And then she writes, dealing with a narcissist is the biggest problem. These people don't have empathy. So I was wondering, what is this? What is narcissist? Okay, I just assumed. So Boki wrote another one. I think maybe she was going through some emotional thing, but it was about the boss by that time. So then I decided to ask her. So when I asked her, she told me just read about it. So I became interested. And then I now started looking for therapy sessions because I have gone through hell.
In the hands of?
In the hands of a man of God who should bring me even more close to God. So camp sessions. Now I'm looking for a therapist on a serious note. Camp sessions. So I live in one of the camps. I release this girl. Remember the girl we are living with? I release her. I tell her, because you are not helping me much in the camp meetings with the babies, I want you to go home. When we come back, I will call you. You know the girl carries a bag, pretends to be going home. She doesn't. She comes, lives with pastor here for a whole week.
Lives with?
With pastor here,
Where?
the man of God. In the house. They remain in the house.
Okay.
For 1 week. So me, I don't know anything. I'm in the camp. The perfect wife is in the camp. So I'm there. So on Saturday, because I was being released from there on Saturday, so on Saturday I come back to the house. She pretends to be carrying her bag back to the house on Saturday. Now me, I know everything is okay. Now my neighbor calls me and tells me, in our church, pastor's wife are called shepherdesses. So she tells me, shepherdess, there is something that is going on in that house that I don't like. That girl is a grown-up. Why is it that she's remaining there with your hubby for a whole week? Why is it that she's not even coming to live with you in the camps? And then I tell her, what are you saying? But I released her. She has been there for a whole week. Almost heart attack. What are you saying? What are you saying? I almost fall down. No, the same girl I released
has been living with my husband
for a whole week. Now, it is not even the first time, because that was almost the last camp. You can imagine we've been having camps for 8 weeks. Now I've been going with my children in those camps. As he's in this one, I'm the other one. I'm in the other one. Just like that for 4 weeks. Now this is the 3rd week, the 5th week. I'm told this. Karibu ni faint. So I'm saying, so this is what is going on here. When I asked, I was almost beaten. By the way, he was almost rough. He was always rough in a way that if you ask him anything, he will not be ready to answer you. Everything is violence. So I will keep it. So I decided to approach one of the pastors who were close to him. I approached him. This journey, it has been a very difficult one, because I approached people who I thought would help me. I approached him and told him, Pastor, I'm dying. There is a time I even developed a condition. My head, this side, I can't even see clearly during the day. I am struggling. So that pastor tells me I'm going to talk to him. So when I left is when now everybody now wants to tell me what he was saying after leaving. Now remember, I approached not 1, not 2, not 3, so many of his friends. So all these things happened just like that. I left going to church. Remember, we're living in the same compound. The church is there and the house is here. So I don't worship. Reasons. 1, he's a guy who will even plan with another woman to come and beat me to prove a point to people that I'm sleeping with their husbands.
What? Apondi.
So one day, as I was just, that is now we are over 2023. Now, in 2024, last year. Now it became worse. Remember, I've now known that I'm dealing with a narcissist. I've known. Because I was reading the characteristics, the traits and everything, matches him everything. Matches him.
Every attribute.
Every trait. Everything is matching him. Somebody who heaps blame on you. Somebody who makes sure that he is busy creating a problem for you to solve. Remember, even during his suspension, I covered him, but he's busy telling people that is one of his superiors is having an affair with me and is jealous of him. That is why he is suspended. Remember, he messed with one of the principals of the church. That is why he was suspended. I covered him, took the blame. He is busy telling other pastors that I'm having an affair with one of the superiors. The superior now, the boss, is so mad at him, and that is why he is suspended. That I always had meetings with one of the bosses in hotels, in clubs. Remember, I'm a pastor's wife. So this is a person, I'm reading the narcissistic behavior, the approach and everything. I'm seeing myself in a life. And then what broke my heart, what I read that broke my heart, that these people, it is their victims that suffer because they don't feel anything. So I said, oh, this is the kind of person I am dealing with. Okay. Then after that, now 2024, I decided to now look for a job. Because you remember, these people talking about narcissism and narcissists, they will tell you, get out there. Meet people. Get your crown, girl. You cannot remain there. You will die. So I decided to look for a job. So me, all of a sudden, there was a certain man with a shop around that place where we used to live. So that man came to me and asked me, Vivian, I want you to help me with a person from your home to be attending to my shop. I asked him, what is the salary? But I was always free. What is the salary? He told me the salary is 20,000 managing my shop. Because when I manage it alone, the villagers are coming, they are taking things out of credit and everything. I don't make any benefit. But if I bring another person, it will be business. So I told him, I'll look for somebody. So I don't know. He saw me that day talking to that guy. He called the wife
of that guy.
Yes, and told him, I don't trust my wife so much. I don't know whether you trust your husband, but I saw them together. So, can you find a way of handling that issue? It is my wife nowadays that is managing your shop. Everything she is consulted. That woman abused me and told me, you came here to destroy people's marriages. It is not the first time we are hearing your story about breaking people's marriages. So, I am coming for you, and I want to make sure I beat you. That woman is telling me. And remember, she's coming to beat me in the church compound. So I quickly text my mother and tell my mother, Mom, there's a certain woman here who is coming to beat me. You know, Pastor. I don't know. Maybe he's the one who has told her these things. And then she calls the woman, tells her, if I find you laying your hands on my daughter over something you don't know, are you sure of what you're talking about? I'm coming there to arrest you too, because I have the messages you have sent to my daughter. And then now the lady decided to ask for forgiveness. She says that, I didn't even have Vivian's number. It is Pastor who told me to come and disgrace her in church so that it is known that she's sleeping around. So, that will bring it to another level.
Yes.
And you know how things are trending nowadays. A pastor's wife was beaten in church because she was caught, So, now that this lady asked for forgiveness, remember, it is somebody you trust with your life, somebody you love as your husband, somebody you even have children together with, telling people about you. He went ahead and realized that there is a guy around this place who was infected. He's a border guy. Now he comes and then goes to the shade, the border shade, and tell those people that this guy, I have to get hold of him. This guy is sleeping with my wife. Now, he now wants to show the villagers that the wife is so loose to an extent that now he's sleeping with the border. The wife is sleeping around to an extent that she is now infected. So, the border guy is asking, does Vivian know the kind of person she is talking to? Because we all know that guy. And then she says, that one has nowadays, I don't even know how to talk to Vivian. She has decided to do everything her own way. So now you remember, your name is now walking in the whole village. Now you can imagine the village set up. Your name is now everywhere. Pastor's wife is nowadays loose. Pastor's wife is sleeping with men just because I didn't want to stop that work. Pastor's wife went and slept with his bosses, and that is why he's working there. Now, he knows that now I cannot lose that job because I'm working so hard. He now calls my boss and tells my boss, so-and-so, I heard Vivian talking to another woman. It was a woman's voice. But I heard Vivian saying that she wants to poison you so that she becomes the boss. Remember, in that organization, there is a county coordinator, there is a sub-county coordinator, and there is a ward coordinator. By that time, I was doubling the ward and sub-county. So it means, if it is true I kill the boss, definitely, maybe I may fight for the position of the boss.
And this is your husband?
My husband. My husband.
A man of God.
A man of God. Calling my boss and telling my boss that he had me speaking to another person, that I want to poison the boss. These things, I still don't know them, but remember, I'm now working. He's doing everything to ensure that I don't work. I'm now working in an environment I'm not free. One of the rights that our organizations were fighting is child neglect. So he tells my boss, after all, she is even neglecting the children when he's going to that work. She's sleeping around. She is drinking alcohol. Remember, I'm a pastor's wife. She's telling people that now I even have to buy crates of beer, put them in the fridge to prevent her from going to
no,
a bar.
Apondi, no.
True. So, so this is a man of God saying anything about anything that, which I later realized that it is now smear campaigning. This guy is smear campaigning my name. He's now telling everybody. He even told me in front of my mother that he is even suspecting that the child is not his. The firstborn child is not his. And if you look at the children, they don't even resemble me. All of them, even the boy. So he goes ahead and tells the public that the children are not his. It means I went out looking for these children. Now, he now continues doing this. I repeatedly called the boss, tells him, he has done this today. What can you do about this? And then the boss says, I will talk to him. He is now doing a very bad thing. I don't know how they talk, how he convinces him, to an extent that it reaches the point that now it is enough.
At what point was that, Vivian?
Now it is somewhere in July 2024. Remember, I'm still working. And this is the bone of contention. I'm still working. So, my cousin is graduating. Something that now brought me to a point I said, I can never be in this marriage. Because in as much as they are narcissists, but there are people who live with narcissists. Mm-hmm. And they just find their way. They just draw their boundaries and they work their own things and they live with narcissists. But mine, it reached a point I said, the only way I can now escape this man, the only way I can now leave this place alive is by running away. Literally running away. So my cousin is graduating in Nairobi. So during this time, he is starving us. I'm in the village, and you know, this is a person who introduced you to a life. We are using a gas. We have jiko, so he buys charcoal. So he has withdrawn. He's not buying anything because I'm working. He tells, by the way, when he was called, when my mom asked him, he said that if both of us are working, he will not provide anything. Mm-hmm. He will not. I better sit down so that he provides. Remember, I'm the firstborn. I want to even help in the business, my mother's business. I want to try so that I even uplift my siblings. It cannot happen. It can never happen. So, now he has withdrawn from his responsibilities. He's not buying charcoal. Gas, I don't know the last time I used it. It is not there. So we have resorted to using the traditional way. I'm now looking for firewood, mm-hmm. and then we cook before the rains drop. Now
you're cooking from outside.
From outside because you know, with the church house, it is well made, so we cannot cook inside the house. So we cook outside. Look for stone, make just to survive, because life has now become very difficult. Mm-hmm. And you know, you cannot tell anybody. Nobody will believe you with the wild photos that were on Facebook and everywhere. So now everything is good. Now he has withdrawn. I am with the children here. You know, now there are two. It is not one anymore. Two, plus that little girl I'm living with, plus my house girl now. I looked for another one after the other one left. So we look for firewood, cook before the rains and everything. So it was during camp season again. Remember, I left going to church somewhere in March. Mm-hmm. I even told God, I even said, God, I have not left you, yeah. But I've left the church. Mm-hmm. Imagine I'm inside the church compound. I prepare the kids. You know, they have to go. Mm-hmm. I remain there with my dera. I sleep on top of the chair the whole day, unless somebody invites me for maybe there is a function in their church. So they invite me. I'm loud. That is something you should know. Mm-hmm. I'm a good speaker. So sometimes maybe there is a function in another church, I'm called. Mm-hmm. So I go. But the time I'm going there, I don't even show that I'm going through something. No.
You're still smiling. The smiley, happy pastor's wife.
Pastor's wife. I'm introduced at the shepherdess, stand and greet the congregation and everything. So everything is still okay. But I've known that I'm dealing with a difficult character. We are not talking. So now this thing, before that, this thing spread the whole of the village. Remember, he's now saying, I'm sleeping around, I'm sleeping with so and so, I'm sleeping. So there is a guy he accused. So this guy called the family members and called a meeting to talk to pastor. Now, me, I was called to that meeting. I went to work. So when I came in the evening, I was told, when I was still in the field, you know, this NGO thing, so I was still in the field, I'm told, Chevades, today we want you to come back early because we have a meeting. I'm wondering what meeting. So when I came back, I went, changed into my dera, and then I went into the church. Remember, me, I left going to church a long time ago. So I just entered there for that meeting. So when I went there, he was asked why he's spreading my name so much. Mm-hmm. The elders had the audacity to ask him. They asked him, Pastor, all these things that are going on, it is you. We have found out that it is you who is spreading these things about your wife. You have talked about this woman. Kijaluo says Nyaruegi. This woman may end up dying. Because you are just lucky that you married a woman who talks. If it is somebody who doesn't talk, she could have committed suicide long time ago. Mm-hmm. Because you cannot say that your wife is infected and you're not. You cannot say your children are not yours. You cannot say that, you cannot send a woman to come and beat your wife inside the church compound without, you are the one cooking this. She doesn't even know about it. Pastor, you're a bad person. Mm-hmm. So take this woman to your home. So take this woman to your home. If you people will be transferred, at least go and pick her from home, go to another district. But for now, protect her face. You have done a lot of harm to this woman. Mm-hmm. So they talked and talked and talked. By that time, I was so courageous because I knew who I was dealing with. I didn't even shed a tear. Mm-hmm. I just waited for the elders to finish talking and everything. I also contributed. I say, elders, what is going on, I know. And Pastor always tells me that people are saying outside. I didn't know that he's the one. You know, I don't have to tell them that I know. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that it's him. But if it is him, only God knows that whatever he's saying is a lie. Mm-hmm. So you people have talked so well. God bless you for trying to protect me. But is there anything to protect now? Is there anything? Mm-hmm. You are the only people who know that I don't sleep around. What about the village? So me, I am living my life in the hands of God. Just like you've known, I left coming to church. You are the people who come to church. Me, I don't know, and I will not come to church again. So the elders told me, but we have talked. You cannot stop coming to church. I said, no, Pastor, no, elder. I will not come to church. Because if I come to church, I will be snatching people's husbands. So I will not come to church. So I left. Mm-hmm. So after that, you know, the elders suggested that I go home. The next day, his sister was being married the traditional way. So the whole clan was there. So I was not invited. So the whole clan is there. So after, when the visitors left, you know, after the traditional marriage and everything, see, the visitors leave, the clan remain. My husband stood in front of everybody and told them, Vivian has left me. You know, he left me in the house. Mm-hmm. Vivian has left me. Before I married Vivian was married to another man. And in that marriage, they had 2 children. The first one died, a boy, who right now will be 20 years. The other one, the other child, is 19 years. She did her Form 4 last year. So the husband has come back. By the time I was wedding her, the husband was in the US. You know, he's so good at cooking stories. The husband was in the US. So right now the husband is back, taking her to clubs, taking her to road trips, and you know, by that time he's saying that I've left him, I'm in the house. He left me in the house.
His house.
His house. Actually, not his house. The church house. Mm-hmm. We are living there. So now the villagers are now like, Kumbe, she's not even a young girl. Kumbe, we married somebody's wife. Now, after that, my co-wife, we call them co-wife, sister to wife to his brother, calls me and tells me, Vivian, where are you? I'm no, I'm in such and such a place. And then she tells me, no, you are not. Mm-hmm. Tell me where you are. No, I mean, or who do you want to talk to confirm that I'm there? She tells me, but he came here and told us that you left him. You are in the process of divorce. You went back, you reunited with your husband, with your daughter who is 19 years old, did her Form 4, and you took your children too. What are you telling me? Do I do a video call for you at the gate of the church to confirm to you that I'm here? But then she was so amazed. Yani she didn't be, I had to do the video call to prove to her that I'm in that church. So I'm asking myself, by the way, I am 30 years. Somebody tells me I have a son who died, who is 20 years. Did I give birth to that son in grade 9 or in grade 4 or grade 5? Where? My daughter has done her Form 4. When did I give birth to that daughter? Pastor knows very well that he married me immediately after graduation, 2019. So now, he's now doing everything possible because he cannot control me. When a narcissist realizes that he cannot control you, he will smear, campaign your name by all means. By all means. To make you look bad.
In front of the public.
In front of the public. That is not even enough. Pastor used to go to the visitors' house. The guest house. He used to sleep there a lot. So me, I used to know, by the narcissists, they love sleeping. So they love sleep. So I knew that maybe he loved the quiet environment of the guest house. Kumbe Pastor used to bring women in this house. He used to bring in the church compound. So this day, he wanted me to behave like a crazy person somehow. So on this day, I came early. So when I came early, the only thing that I didn't do, I don't know. But when God wants to expose somebody, I still believe in God. I didn't leave him. I only left the church. When God wants to expose somebody one day, you don't know how things happen. So that day I'm from work. I sit in front of the church. In front of the house. There was a plastic chair there. So I just sat there with everything. Sat there. So after sitting there, I was trying to receive a call to prepare for tomorrow's work. I sat there. So I asked the children, where is so-and-so? Then they tell me that he is in the guest house. And then I said, oh, as usual. Just say it to myself because I didn't expect that. And then, so my babies come. Whenever I came back from work, even right now, they ran to me. So they just came. I was carrying all of them. The boy on this side, the girl on this side. So. And then I tell them that I want to show them cartoon on my phone. And then I see a lady walking from the guest house. And then I call her and I tell her, Wewe, bus mama hapo. So the wewe, and you know the voice I have, the voice of command, said, Wewe, bus mama hapo. Hey, the lady, she didn't even look at me. She
started running.
She just started running and ran out of the gate. Mimi ni nani? I followed her. I followed her. And then, running outside the gate, then she was now still walking very fast. And then I came back. I saw, lo and behold, the man of God coming from the guest house with just a short and a bare chest. And he's blessed. He's so big. Bare chest. So he's coming out of the guest house. When he looked at me, he was so... By then, I saw it in his eyes. He was so disappointed. He was so afraid. He didn't know what I was going to do. So back to the woman I called. So I told her, oh, so it is you. It is you. Now I want to deal with you today. So, okay. I don't know, but God found a way of handling this thing. No, of handling this thing. Because I don't know what could have happened. It was on a market day. So the lady ran and then found a motorbike. Our church, just the gate, and then there is a road there. So the lady just hopped on a bike. Mimi ni nani? I looked for a bike. Another bike was coming. By the way, another bike just came. I hopped on that bike. I ran after her. So I was slow. There were two roads. Main road and two. One leading on this side, the other one. I don't know where she branched. So that is where I lost her. I just lost her. Then I came back. I came back for
now
the man
to
of
deal
God.
with your man.
I told him a lot of things. I told him, so it has been you all along.
Who is sleeping
So,
around, not you.
It is not me. It is not he. It is not me who is sleeping around. You have the audacity to bring inside the church compound. So he didn't talk back. But what I told him a lot of things. I called the boss again and told him, for the first time in my life, the boss told me, I know you want to destroy so-and-so's job.
Mm-hmm.
I know that is your intention. But even if you destroy his job, he will get another one. Okay, so it means I have been reporting to destroy his job, not for you to come to our aid. So then I tell my mom, Mama, so this is what has been happening. Kumi, it is not me. It is him. You know, I don't know whether there was a lot of joy in it and finding out it has not been me all along.
Yes.
So my mom tells me, now, don't worry, find a way of handling it. Because even God knows that if at all you got hold of that woman, I don't know what would have happened. So you find a way. My friend, we were called for a meeting on Sunday. It was on a Friday. Saturday we just went to church as usual. Though they went.
You didn't go.
I don't go to church. So we were called for that meeting. So in that meeting, I was told in my face, Ati, I told you that marriage was not going to work and you didn't listen to me. The boss telling my husband now. So what you do, the marriage is still very young. You people are still very young. You don't know what is going on. I was given time to talk, by the way. I talked a lot of things. But I said, I'm not allowed to work. I'm not allowed to do what I'm not. I cried. And then after that, they didn't even take much time on his case. This guy even said that whenever I go to work, I come back with protection used in my bag. One day he checked and found. So I even asked myself, you know, they made me believe that I was crazy. I didn't see a woman yesterday. They made me believe that it is a story I cooked. That even the children in the compound knows very well.
There was no one.
They know there was a person. They even saw.
Oh, you mean the children know?
The children, they saw that woman getting inside the guest house. But now, they are in this meeting. I'm made to believe that I'm crazy. You know how narcissists behave with their victims? They made me believe that I'm crazy. I didn't see anybody. I'm cooking a story. So they want me to once again go back and say, Vivian, maybe it is you. You are hallucinating. This thing is not true.
You're a lunatic.
Hey, how are you sick? How can pastor bring a woman into the church? You are lying. So they want me to now start. So I just sat there, listened to them talk about me in a very bad way. My mother cried in that meeting. She cried. In as much as she has been protecting me, she has been telling me, she has been reminding me, she has been talking to me about how our wedding was so good, that people live with those narcissists. My mother has suffered, by the way. In the whole of this story, that woman has suffered. She has.
More than you.
More than me. Because, just like I told you, my wedding was one of the best. And they were happy for me. But we didn't know who I married. So, I was told a lot of things. I was even told, now I'm advised, that there is nowhere I will go with 2 children.
So you better remain in this marriage. I better
remain in it. And then if I make a step of leaving this marriage, other women will come
and take over.
He is still a handsome man and a very young man. So many women will come running to him. I don't have a problem with that. If he wants to get married again, he will. But do you live in such an environment?
You can't.
So when we left there, he left me with my mother there. And then he didn't even provide transport for me. We went to the house. Luckily, the next day he was going for a camp meeting. So he went there for a camp meeting for a whole week. People come back on Sunday, but he came back on Monday. We were just there. So by the way, even the camp meetings I didn't attend, by the way. So I was just there. And then now, during the camp meetings, now my cousin is graduating. So I leave the house. I He's now starving us. Remember, because from the meeting, he's now starving us. We are suffering. We are doing what? So now, my sister now is graduating on 2nd August last year. I have decided to attend the graduation. Now he has even stopped buying water for us. I go to the river to wash. So that day I went to the river to wash, and then I brought the clothes to the church compound. We hang them to dry. Then now I prepare my children for the night. I tell them I will not be there. I'm traveling to Nairobi, and then I'm attending that graduation in the morning. During the night I will travel back. So see, I leave them. So I booked a vehicle from Rongo, and then we reach Bomet. So I was sleeping all through, because over the night when we were traveling, what are you doing? So I was just sleeping, and then in Bomet I wake up and receive missed calls from my house girl, from my mother. So I decided to call all of them, and I started with my mom. It was late. It was around 1 p.m. So my mom didn't receive. I called the house girl. She receives, and then she tells me, "Madam," she calls me madam. "Madam, there are some calls that are being made here. These children are going to be stolen. So I don't know what you need to do, but find a way." And then nisikie, my firstborn was premature. The secondborn was through CS. I just had, I don't know, labor pain. I went to the driver, told him, "Simamisha, is there a problem, madam?" "No, I'm going back." Luckily, there was another vehicle, the same company, that was passing us to where we are coming from. So the driver talked to the other driver, and they shifted me back. So I went back. I reached there at around 10 in the morning. When I reached the house, the children were already taken away. When I asked the house girl, because she sent the house girl away, but the house girl decided to remain there to wait for me. So remember, she has taken even the house girl's phone. So she's calling me from a neighbor's phone. So when I reached there, I found the house girl in a neighbor's room. The children, their bags and everything has been taken away. So when I asked the house girl, and she tells me that yule mwanamke mwenye alimleta ile siku. You remember that day they are trying to make me feel crazy that I didn't see anybody. But even the children saw that lady. So that is the lady who was gone with my children.
What?
The same lady that was brought to my house. So I call my friend, and then the friend tells me, "Your children cannot be taken away. Go to the children's office." I went to the children's office, and then the children's office demanded for his attention. They tried calling him, he didn't receive. So they referred me to a police officer. So from the police officer, they went for him in civilian, because he's a pastor and it was during camp meeting. So they went for him, came back, and they brought him to the police station. He was given a P52 to provide the children. So he brought the children saa sita usiku with no sweaters. The children are looking very dirty and hungry. So he left us there. So the police officer even begged him to allow us go back to the house. He refused. He drove away and left us with the children there. So I had to find a place around that place, because that is where we used to live. So I had to look for a person to host us for the night. So we were hosted 2 days. I slept outside with the children. So that is where the police officer told me, "Vivian, you're not living with a human being. Find a way of helping yourself." That is when I started planning my silent exit. I started planning very well. So I went back to him, knelt down on my knees, begged him, and told him, "Pastor, nisamee. Hata kama ni kazi utaki nifanye, we'll never do it again. Pastor, tafadhali, our children are suffering," because I've slept outside 3 nights with the children. "Nisamee." And now he believed me. He forgave me. I came back with the children. We stayed there for 2 weeks. The 3rd week, he went as a guest speaker to another camp. That is when I escaped. So I escaped because I had saved. When I was now reading a lot about narcissists, I was doing silent exit. I knew everything now. When you leave, you need to back up yourself with some money. That is when I now planned leaving. So when I waited for him, and by the time when he was going for that camp meeting, I'm the one who ironed his clothes, prepared him, even prayed for him when he was leaving. And then he left. So when he left, I packed my things, my daughter's, my children's clothes, my children's clothes, my properties, my certificates and everything. And then I went and took them. Remember, by this time he has closed the door. The station, the leader, called him and called the boss and talked to him. He told him that mimi mambo ya Vivian sitaki kusikia. Let Vivian take her things and leave. That is the person who should bring us together. So he just went like that. So I left. So when I left, I looked for a place to stay. I don't want to tell people where I live because as we speak, things are not so good again. So I left 31st of August. That is when I escaped from him. Then I went to wherever I am right now. So when I left, immediately, as a man, if your wife leaves you, what is the first thing you do? You look for that wife. So he did that. He went home. But at home, he said a lot of things. He said how I sleep around with men. He found me sick, infected. He took me to the VCT. He found me infected. So I left out of guilt. But he still wants me back. So he tried talking to people about a lot of things. He told them how I've carried everything in the house, chairs, tables, everything. So he said a lot of things to an extent of kunigonganisha with my clan members. He said a lot of things. So after that, now because my family, they were tired. My mother, people are tired. So they just kept quiet. The guy filed for divorce. Immediately filing for divorce, for a pastor, filing for a divorce is not something so that is a requirement. But he went and filed for. Then he now tells the whole world that it is me who filed for that divorce. Now, divorce is a matter that is already in the court. We will not discuss it. But tarnishing everything, telling people, by the way, it is true. He's telling everybody. Right now, everybody knows that it is me who took him to court. I don't have any problem with that because I'm used to his smear campaign. Right now, he has made sure. If right now I give you a list that I have made for myself, he has mentioned close to 70 men that I have slept around with. Me, I just sleep around. I sleep around. In the district where we were, I have slept with almost 60. His leaders, he has talked about everybody. I don't know if there is a man living on this earth, maybe the one I've not met, but everybody. I have border people, the youths, everybody. He is mentioning everybody's name. And don't forget that people are believing him, including the pastor friends are believing him, including the ones I approached to help us are believing him. Everybody is believing him, saying that I'm doing what? I was a very loose woman. It is not my first marriage. Remember, it's my first marriage because if there is somebody I ever married should come out and say that I took cows to Vivian's place. But the first ever man that my family knows is him. Now that time, he now knows that I have so many problems. You see my teeth, eh? He now knows that my dental formula is wrong. Now he's telling people how bad I look. I don't even deserve him. You see this? I developed this one when I was very young. So he says that this one makes me look like what? I'm not a person he can admire. Now he wants to make sure that by the time I was battling depression, I gained weight up to 90 kgs. Right now, I have made sure that I've worked on myself. Self-care, because self-worth, I learned about it. Right now, he's now spreading it. That I was, not that I'm sick, I was one of the elders impregnated me. Now I decided to flash. It has interfered with my body. So he has decided, he is talking to people and he wants to make sure that those things reaches me. They reach me. I have chats. If I told you chats can be shared online on social media, I can. He is telling people how loose I am. I sleep. But I have studied about narcissism. I have known the kind of pattern I'm dealing with. So he thinks that by saying all those things, they are getting to me, I am strong than ever. I am strong than ever because I am informed. I know the kind of person I'm dealing with. Maybe there are women.
Yes, that's where I was going to as we conclude. There's a person who has watched your story and they're going through what you are going through. What would be your advice, or what would be your word to them?
My word to such women. Number one, you cannot please a human being. Do your best. Leave the rest to God. God will vindicate you. Number one, you cannot keep trying to tell somebody how good you are. You know your worth. Know your worth. Maintain and ensure you have your own self-care. Care for yourself. Because after all, if at all I died, right now people will have forgotten about me. When by the time it reached a point I wanted to kill myself, there are people who even go through depression and they want to kill themselves. So it's better you know yourself. That will be enough. Number two, for such a man, if you know, by the way, just read about narcissism, and if you know that you are dealing with such a man, run away. Those people don't change. You'll be emotionally blackmailed. You'll be financially abused. A narcissist is a person who doesn't even love their children. They're a person who wants to use the children against you. So I cannot advise anybody who knows that they have a narcissist as a husband or a narcissist as a wife, and they expect that relationship to work. You will keep proving yourself day and night, the same way I was. I didn't know that he's the one who was doing all these things. He does them, and then he makes me look like it is me who is doing it. So I have not been discussing my life with the church. I am discussing my life with a personality, a person, but with a calling, with an anointing, who is supposed to bring people to God. Imagine your wife doesn't go to church. What are people saying about it? Your wife stopped going to church.
And you're a pastor.
And you're a pastor. Because by that time I'm not going to church. He is even telling people that I'm guilty. I don't want to feel. That's why I'm not going. I have gone through hell. Actually, I realized that I am dealing with a jealous partner who has a disorder. And somebody who is sick, unless you agree to be helped. You know, siwezi kuwa na malaria na nilale. I have to seek for medical attention.
That's what the Bible says.
Yes, if somebody knows that he's sick, better look for some help. That is where to an extent that he even looking for ladies, and their inbox is full with nudes. He is the one who is asking for nudes, sending nudes. If you want, I can share the nudes with you. If you want them to go viral. But it is something that I will not want to paint somebody because he is the one who is doing it. So I don't have to prove myself. So a person who is doing something and then painting it on you, and people believe him. People believe him. Even right now, there are people up to now who believe that Apondi is sleeping around, and that is why Pastor chased him away. I was not chased away. I left. And I waited for him to go somewhere. And I escaped. I ran away with my children for my life. Because I realized I was going to raise very bitter children. So my children, my life. I decided to look for a safer place for me and my children.
Apondi, I think that was the best decision you ever made for yourself and for your children.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your story with us. Thank you for telling us what you went through and letting us draw lessons from your experience, as well as using this platform or this opportunity to clear your name. It's only fair that you also get a share of your right of reply. And we wish you the very best as you shape the next generation as a teacher, as well as a mother to your two lovely children.
Thank you.
And I think, I believe I'm speaking on behalf of the many who are watching, that you're still also very beautiful and very young. You said that somebody was told he's young and will go back to the market. You also have that opportunity. Thank you so much, Apondi. You still remain jovial as you are.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tuko family, that's the story of Vivian Apondi. All she was craving for is an opportunity to share her side of the story because of what has been said and what has happened to her. And as she says, gone through hell in the hands of a man of God. What lesson have you drawn from her experience? Do you relate with her story? Either what you're going through or you know somebody who is going through the same. Let's have that discussion right here on the comment section. My name is Kingori Wangeshi. This has been my story right here on Tuko. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. Until next time, keep it real.